Welcome to our tutorial on music notation. This chapter will cover basic music notation principles. If you're familiar with these, please feel free to skip this chapter. Having a basic understanding of music notation will improve your ability to work with MIDI because the way MIDI is organized and managed in your digital audio workstation draws from the principles of music notation. Let's create a drawing space for us. Okay. Here we've got two groups of 5 lines. Each set of 5 lines is called a staff. The staff is how we represent the frequency of sound. The higher up on the staff, the higher the pitch of the note, and the lower down, the lower your note. On a staff, music is divided up into bars, indicated by these lines. Each bar is further subdivided into beats. These two numbers here are called a time signature. They generally appear at the beginnings of songs, and the top number tells us how many beats are in a bar, in this case 4, and the bottom note tells us what kind of note gets 1 beat. In this case, 4 means a quarter note. Most Western music's in 4/4 time, where there are 4 beats to the bar and each beat is worth a quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's a list of note types and their values. Each note below has half the value of the note on top. A bar in 4/4 time can contain 1 whole note, 2 half notes, 4 quarter notes, 8 eighth notes, 16 16th notes, 32 32nd notes, etc. Now let's talk about notes with an odd number of beats. How do you represent 3 beats or 5 beats? These notes can be written in 2 ways, with a dot as you see here, or a tie as you see here. That's a line that connects 2 notes together. On the left, you see that this half note has a dot next to it. That adds 50% of the value. Without the dot, the half note's worth 2 beats. With the dot, it's worth 3 beats. On the right, the line between the notes, called a tie, links these 2 notes together for a total value of 3 beats. 2 beats for the half note and 1 for the quarter. When notes are tied together, you don't play the second note, only the first note. But you hold the first note down for the value of the second note too. So basically, you'd play this note for 2 beats plus 1 beat, making 3 beats total without lifting up your finger. Let's take a look at rests now. They follow the same mathematical logic as notes, but instead of representing sounds, they represent silence or the absence of sound. Here's a representation of rests and their values. A whole rest, 4 beats. Half rest, 2 beats. Quarter rest, generally 1 beat. An eighth rest, half, 16th. A 16th rest has a quarter of a beat in 4/4 time, and so on. In a 4/4 bar, we can have 4 quarter rests, 2 half rests, or 1 whole rest, or any combination of the rests below. Rests can be lengthened with dots and ties, just like notes. Both of these rests have 3 beats in a 4/4 time. This half rest adds 50% of the value using this dot. Same thing by the tie. The half rest is tied to the quarter rest for a total of 3 beats. Now let's talk about note pitch. As we mentioned, the higher or lower a note appears on the staff, the higher or lower the pitch, respectively. The clef on the left specifies the musical range. Here's a treble clef, and here is a bass clef. These are the most common clefs you'll find in music notation. Piano music is written in both the treble and bass clefs. Guitar and violin are written in the treble clef. Some instruments, like the viola, are written in a different clef, the alto clef. Let's pick up a few more words on notes. The relationship between notes can be measured in whole and half steps. For example, the relationship between C and D is a whole step. Between C and C sharp is a half step. E to F and B to C are also half steps. These are known as semitones as well. B flat to C is a whole step. E to F sharp is a whole step, or a whole tone. A whole step is 2 semitones, or half steps. If you count from C forward, the black keys can be called sharps. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C. If you count back, the same key can be described in flats. C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, and C. This is a sharp symbol, and this is a flat symbol. A sharp beside a note means you play a semitone or half step higher, usually the black key up. A flat symbol beside a note means you play a semitone or half step down, usually a black key lower. The natural symbol cancels a previous sharp or flat sign. It's like a return to normal mode command. When these accidentals are written in the main body of your music notation, they affect which notes you actually play. The accidentals that are written in the main body of the music notation are canceled out every bar line. That is, unless they appear in what's known as your key signature. Key signatures are generally found at the beginning of a song, before the time signature. A key signature means that you flatten or sharpen all of the notes that have flat or sharp symbols on them. The key signature tells you which key the piece is in. In this diagram here, I see an F sharp and a C sharp in my key signature. This means that I'm in the key of D. The key of D contains an F sharp and a C sharp. That means that all Fs and Cs in this song need to be played as sharps. Not only the F on this line, but every F in the song, unless otherwise marked by a natural symbol. Same thing with the C. I play the C in this space as sharp, but all Cs, including this C down here. This note here is a C sharp, but this one is C natural. The natural symbol requests me to play a semitone lower than written. In the bass clef staff down below, I've got a B flat and an E flat in this key signature. This is the key of B flat major, and these Bs will be played as flats. This B will be played as a natural. All of the Bs in this song, not only these Bs, will be flattened unless they are marked with a natural symbol. Same thing with all of the E's in this song. Every E will be played as a flat unless it's marked with a natural symbol. Now let's do a few words on dynamics and accent markings. This line here is a tenuto marking. It means held in Italian. You give this note a little bit more deliberate pressure than you would playing normally. This note here is marked with a staccato dot. Staccato means giving a note a short and sharp attack. Staccatos are short and hoppy. That's what I used to tell my students. Next, we've got an accent marking. An accent mark should be played a little bit more heavily than a regular note. Marcado is next. This is both held and accented, so it's a little more oomph. Next, we have a slur line connecting two notes. It means you need to connect these two notes. You shouldn't hear any gap between the sound. This wiggly symbol is a glissando. It instructs you to slide in pitch from one note to the next. P stands for piano or quiet. F stands for forte, that's a single F. Two Fs, as we see here, is a fortissimo, very loud. MP is mezzo piano or medium soft, and MF is mezzo forte or medium loud. This symbol here is a crescendo, meaning I grow in volume from the beginning to the end of the crescendo. From this indication here, I start soft and I get very loud across the stretch of this bar. This symbol here is a decrescendo. It means that I start out fortissimo or very loud, and I shrink in volume from FF down to a P, a piano or quiet. If you aren't familiar with notes, but you do want to work with MIDI interfaces anyways, I suggest you draw a keyboard and tape it to your desk. You can draw the names of the notes on the keyboard. This will help you work in the Pro Tools MIDI track notes view. And this concludes our tutorial on music notation.